Hi and welcome to another science video. We are going to continue with P5 plant reproduction or reproduction in plants. Okay, before we begin, again please consider subscribing if you find this video helpful, and please do share around if you think anyone else can benefit from these videos. Now, before we begin answering, you just want to recap a few things. The important things here, remember that try to use words from the questions. This is number one. Number two, use key phrases. Okay, and number three, answering techniques. Okay, answering techniques can include a few other things also. Okay, like comparing and stuff like that. Now, the use of key phrases. In the lessons, I will use some key phrases. So it's good if you can indicate that this is a key phrase. Of course, I will notify you. I will say that, okay, this is a key phrase for this topic and for this kind of question, so that you know, okay, these are the things that you must include in your answer when the question asks you in a certain way. Now, like I've said before too, I think, if I remember clearly, I do give the key phrases to my students that I teach. But unfortunately, it's a bit difficult for me to extract and to share because it's not topical based, the one that I give them. Because when we go through different types of topics, so it's mixed up. It's a bit difficult for me to just share the whole thing because some of them might not be relevant to the thing that we are doing at the moment. Anyway, I'll notify you when it's a key phrase, so you can take note. Keep a notebook. You can keep a notebook and have different topics, and you can write down the key phrases for those topics. Alright, so on with the question. The diagram below shows the reproductive parts of a flower with some parts removed. Common question, they like to remove certain parts and then they will ask you, give a reason why the flower will still be able to reproduce. Keyword, reproduce. A lot of students get tricked by this question, especially if it's something new, or rather if it's a new topic and they have not done this kind of question. They will say, oh, okay, you can't reproduce because why? This part is missing. And what is this part called? The anther. And what does the anther, what's the function of the anther? Produce and store pollen grain. So if there's no pollen grain, you can't reproduce because pollination cannot take place. Okay, that's what they will say. Now, like I've said before also, we are approaching this through questions. When it's relevant, then I will discuss the topic itself, or rather I will discuss the concept. Now, just a quick revision for this topic. Okay, now in fact for any topic, if there is or there are parts and functions involved like cells, please study them carefully. If there's properties or characteristics involved, for example like light, okay, what else, matter, or any other topics, okay, so again, what do you need to look out for? Parts and functions, okay, and then characteristics / properties. Whenever you have all this, please pay attention because most of the questions involve this Okay, you need to remember them in order for you to be able to answer the questions. Alright, so let's carry on here with just a short revision. So you need to know all the parts and the functions. Okay, this is the stigma. Now I won't write down the function, but I will verbally talk about them. And the words I use are words that you can use in your exam in answering the questions. And anyway, it's in the notes. Remember, the notes is the link to the notes is in the description, so please click on that link. You'll be able to download the notes. So the function of the stigma is to receive pollen grain. Okay, I'll just discuss the main function because I don't really have time to go through everything. Like I mentioned before, we are approaching this in an answering technique way. Okay, this is the anther. We've already discussed a bit on the anther. The anther produces and stores pollen grain. Okay, this is the ovary. The outside one is the ovary, and the inside is called the ovule. Okay, I'll let you know the method I use to help students remember. Okay, but let's talk about the function first. The ovary protects the ovule and becomes the fruit after fertilization. The ovule contains the egg cell and becomes the seed after fertilization. Okay, so now a lot of students, they get confused between which one is ovary, which one is ovule. They sound the same, okay, and they spell almost the same. Okay, the first two letters are the same, but the third letter is different. Okay, ovary starts with an A. Ovule, has A in the third place, and ovule has U as the third letter. And you can see from outside inside, okay, in ABC, A will come first and then U will come later on. So if you are going to see from the outside, you will see the ovary first, the A. When you cut in, when you go further, then you will see the ovule, which is the U. Okay, so that's one way I try to help students remember which one comes first, or which one is the outer layer and which one is the inside. Okay, the ovary is the outside, the ovule is inside, because when you look at the flower, you will see the outside first, which is the letter A, and then if you cut inside, you will see the letter U, ovule. Now, back to the question itself. Give a reason why the flower will still be able to reproduce. Now, this is they're quite kind. They did not ask. Give a reason whether the flower can or cannot reproduce. So they've already given you a clue that it can be reproduced. Now, I will approach this in explain style, because it's not unusual that they ask you to explain. Okay, so it's also a good practice for explain question, and I will change this to observation. I will always try to break it down so that you can understand the different parts. Okay, observation, concept, conclusion. If you can still remember from the first video, observation is basically just what we see from the diagram. So we can say the flower has a stigma, ovary, and ovule. Alright, stigma, ovary, and ovule. Next is going to be the concept. What do we say about the concept? Whenever the question is about plant reproduction, flower, okay, or sometimes they don't say reproduce, they say can still produce fruits. They ask, Can it still produce fruit? Okay, you always must talk about pollination and fertilization. Alright, so how do we talk about it? So the stigma can receive pollen grains and undergo pollination, and the pollen grain can grow pollen tubes to the ovule for fertilization to take place. Alright, so the stigma can receive pollen grains and undergo, and you can say, in fact, and the flower can undergo pollination, and the pollen grain can grow pollen tubes into the ovule for fertilization to take place. And the conclusion is the easiest. We just lift from the question. We will say, so the flower will still be able to reproduce. Now, for even though this is a give a reason, it is still important. I won't say important, but it's still good to approach this in an explain style because of the word why. Okay, give a reason why. So if you see the word why in give a reason, just don't risk it. Answer the question in an explain manner. Okay, next one. The seed of plant Z is shown below. State one characteristic that helps the seed in dispersal. Alright, so we have to look at the picture and we have to answer according to what we see. So just state there's no explanation involved. The seed has, what do we say? Soft hair-like structure. Okay, soft hair-like structure. If you want, you can say that helps the seed in its dispersal. But for this case, it doesn't really matter. Now, the next part. The diagram below shows the dispersal of seeds of two plants. One, it doesn't follow the wind direction. Okay, here is the wind direction here. They mentioned there, wind direction. And this is the parent plant, the bigger one. So you can see the young plant is not on the right side only. It's on the left side also. But for this case, it's only on the right side because of the wind direction. Okay, of course, there's other patterns. I think I've discussed it in the previous video, in the first part. Which diagram shows the dispersal of seeds of plant Z? Give a reason. Again, give a reason for your answer. Alright, so a very straightforward one. It should be diagram 2. And the reason is using words from the question. A lot of times, students get stuck because they don't know what to write or how to write. They don't know the words to choose. But if you keep in mind that, okay, I just need to find the words from the question itself, it will help you write the answer using the correct terms and correct words. Okay, so the young, which diagram shows, okay, we already said that it's diagram 2. Okay, so the young plant. Alright, okay, where's the word young plant? It's here. The young plant, the word is here. The young plant. Okay, let me change to arrow again. The young plant. Okay, the young of plant Z. That's better. The young of plant Z is found on the right side. Oh, what happened to the... Hold on. Let me move this. Okay, it's found on the right side of the parent plant. You can say following the direction of the wind. Now again, this is give a reason, and this one has no why. Okay, so it's fine if you answer just like this. Okay, it's found only on the right side of the parent plant. Okay, it's better to say only. Sorry, only okay, sorry, it should be only at the right side. Or okay, only on the right side. That's better, I think. Okay, only on the right side. Okay, I'm not an English teacher, but that's not a reason for me not to use the correct words. Okay, so I apologize for that. Okay, so the young of plant Z is found only on the right side of the parent plant, following the direction of the wind. If let's say it's an explain question, okay, then you must do the explanation, which you have the key phrase again. Okay, the key phrase. It's quite a long key phrase. Maybe I'll just type it out here. Okay, the key phrase for plants dispersed by wind is as it has. Okay, you can either say soft hair-like structure for this case, or wing-like structure that helps to keep it afloat in air longer and be carried by wind. Okay, you can say after that, further away from the parent plant. So this is the key phrase. Next, explain why plants disperse their seeds far away from parent plant. Okay, this is actually not really an explain question. Okay, you just need to follow the key phrase standard answer. I always say it's a standard answer. This is to reduce overcrowding. Some people use the word prevent overcrowding. I've not seen any one being penalized for using the word prevent or reduce overcrowding. And competition. Do not use the word fight. I've seen students penalized for using the word fight. So the word is competition. This is to reduce overcrowding and competition for, okay, the 4 items: sunlight, water, space, and nutrients. Okay, so these are the 4 items. If you want to be extra careful, you can say competition for sunlight, water, space, okay, minerals and nutrients. Alright, minerals and nutrients. I've seen some schools, they say, oh no, we don't accept minerals, we only want nutrients. And I've seen some schools accept minerals, accept nutrients. So again, it goes back to what your teacher wants. Always ask them, which one should you use? Okay. So I think that should be 20 minutes. We still have a few more questions to go through. Okay, actually one more question. So let's just finish this. Explain why plants disperse. Oh, it's the same question. So basically we are done with this part here. Alright, of course in the future I will add on more questions based on the same topic. Okay, because there's a lot of questions that we can go through, different variation of the question. Alright, so it's not enough to cover them in 2 parts, but I want to try to cover different topics too. Alright, so that's why do consider subscribing, because when I upload new videos you will be notified and you can follow the lesson without missing any videos. Okay, so until the next one, thank you again for watching. I hope this has been beneficial for you.